We are live! Good morning! Welcome to Natasha Makes. We have got beautiful, beautiful things for you today. The staple, Jane. The staple of your quilting, well, and any kind of fabric journey, really.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, we have got, as promised, as requested, as desired by you at home, we have got ombres. Of course, we have our half meter heavens for you ready to go live tomorrow. Well, midnight. And we also have, some creative grids. What kind of creative grid is it today, Jane?
Curvy log cabin.
Me, log cabin.
Curvy.
I don't know why that's making me dance like a strange crab. But there we go. It's Wednesday. Why not?
A bit of curvy.
A bit of curvy log cabin. I can't actually find us on Facebook. Where have we gone? Oh, I just needed to refresh.
Oh, that's all right.
And here we are. It is, of course, I'm not talking to my voice is off. It's Jane. It is, of course, her Witchy Stitchy Wednesday. Or Stitchy Witchy Wednesday. Is it Witchy Stitchy or Stitchy Witchy?
Stitchy witchy, I think.
There's witchiness in it and stitchiness in it. Good morning, Myra. Good morning, Joan. And good morning, Margaret. Also today... good morning, Rebecca. We've also got, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later, we have, well done, you managed to hammer it into the wall.
Yes,
Not long now, and we'll be moved.
Yeah, we'll have a proper rail.
A proper rub, but not only will we have a proper rail, Jane, I will be able to polyfill this entire wall and repaint it again. Oh, the excitement, the excitement. Morning, ladies, says Rebecca, starting another Cave Everlasting bouquet today. I'm addicted. They do, yours was lovely, and they do get a little bit like that.
Yes.
Once you start, and especially because you realise that you can just sit there and chop away at, you know, fussy cutting, and it's all good. Oh, hang on, weather from Kirsty. Slightly cooler here today, but still nice. Oh, good. It's the perfect sort of temperature for me today.
Yes.
It's all right. It's all right.
Nice sunshine.
Yeah, it is. It is. Now I'm only here for the start, and then Gemma is coming to take over the button pressing bit.
Yeah.
Because I've got an appointment. You can't change appointments these days, can you?
No,
Like,
they're
when
rare.
you get one,
Yes, they're rare.
you've just got to go, yes, I will rearrange my entire world. Don't you worry, I'll be there. So that's what I've done, and I'm very lucky because my world is very accommodating. Thanks, world. Do you want to have a look then at these bundles? These are on today. Oh, and SJ's been at the codes again. You've already started using it. What we have said is... Jane, we realised that one day was not enough to celebrate my birthday.
No, well, it doesn't, does it? You know, Emily tells
Big numbers need big celebrations. It wasn't that big. I know what you're thinking. It was not that big. So what we're going to do, I think it's a celebration one. Here we are. Yeah. This one. Is, I've got an itchy eyebrow. How'd you get an itchy eyebrow? We are going to, with every order over £40, we're going to give you a bottle of flatter for free. So I think SJ's code, and she's put it in like at the top of the website.
Yeah.
www.natashamakes.com for those of you going, what website? Where have you been? Get flat free, not fat free. As you can see, we don't do that. Get flatter free.
Flat free.
Flat free. Because I am... Well, it took me months to get those, and I want everyone to try them. I want you to try them, so that's my thing. So yeah, give that a go, and why not stock up on your essentials? Let's have a look. Let's go dove from above and have a little look. They're my half meter heavens. They're not yet, and that's Jane's stuff, so that's not yet either. This is my stuff. So I was going to call this Sunrise, and then Gemma went, no. I've just put the names of the fabrics in the title instead. So I gave them beautiful names. But they've got Azalea Pink, Hot Tomato, Scarlet, Cardinal and Terracotta. So reds are sometimes some of the hardest ones to match, aren't they? I think.
Yes, and you don't realise, do you, how many shades of red there are?
No. Scarlet is one that we use a lot, which is that one. Terracotta is just, not terracotta, Scarlet. Hang on. Cardinal is the new one.
Yeah.
We've started to use that a lot. It's a shade deeper than the Scarlet, which is really, really useful. And you wouldn't actually believe, would you, the difference that just that one shade makes. The Hot Tomato is one that we use a lot, and it looks almost peachy there. And then the Azalea is a new one. So not many of you will have that. So that's all very exciting, as is the Terracotta, a new one as well, which is verging on brown. Let's talk browns, because over here we've given you quite a few neutrals to choose from as well. And so the bundles sort of, they could merge if you wanted them to, if you were going all out. And in this one we have got bamboo, tan, biscuit, brunette and chocolate.
You need to bring that down a little bit, I think.
I'm going to, there we are.
Yeah, there we go.
Haha.
Lovely.
Then we did plains, we did beiges, didn't we?
Yes.
Well, I say beiges, neutrals.
Neutrals, because I think you can't, there's always nice room for having neutrals in your stash.
There
you
is.
always need a bit of cream or
Yeah.
a little bit of background fabric.
And again, it's one of those things that until you get them, you don't realise how just the change in those 3 tones makes a massive difference.
Yeah. Is that light up?
No, the light I wiggled, yeah, I had a little wiggle of the cable and it's pulled it out right in the top. It was really notable today though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It hasn't been, and yet today it really is. There we go. So yeah, sorry about that. And now I'm thinking, we move in 2 weeks, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll get the
We'll
lighting
have a new
sorted there.
studio line.
I know, it's exciting. But you see, then we move from those, so they're sort of ombreing as we speak, aren't they? Right. To then we've got our, oh, hang on, I'm going to do this way. Because there's lemon, there's buttercup, there's sunshine, there's golden yellow, and then there's gold! Or sunshine yellow, wasn't it? Anyway, there they all are, all those gorgeous yellows. We had fun this morning, didn't we?
We did. We were really enjoying ourselves.
We did. And then there's your spring greens, where you've got ice green, not ice cream, we all scream for ice cream. And then apple, chartreuse and sage. Ombre your little hearts out.
Fresh, aren't they?
But then if you want your foresty greens, because I'm also aware that we have bought you sort of some... we've bought you batiks. It's been a bit of an ombre kind of a week this week. I do love an ombre.
Yeah, me.
Yeah. So here we have your forest greens, lime, emerald, fir, bottle and teal. Ooh, beautiful. And then the shadow bundle, which again Gemma hasn't actually let me call shadow bundle. We've got black, we have got dark grey, we've got school grey, we have got elephant and we have got silver. Ta-da! Beautiful. And then over here on your purples, gosh, there's a lot to choose from, isn't there? There's light lilac, lavender, amethyst, magenta and purple. Now, here's the thing, I've got one more to show you, but the first 10 people with these get them at the sale price.
Ooh.
And then the price goes back to normal.
Which is really reasonable anyway.
Well,
but
I know,
yes.
I know, but, you know, I'm just going to put these out the way for a second.
That's right.
Bum, 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 bum. To make way for the icy blues, where we have got duck egg, aqua, sky, peacock and sapphire. Ooh, and they, ladies and gentlemen, are our plains du jour. Ombres. Lisa says, morning everyone. I do love a good Stitchy Witchy Wednesday. I have this creative grids ruler, but never been brave enough to use it. Lisa, I think that your story is the story of many. So that's why we do these things. Your mum's watching. Morning,
Hi,
Kate.
Mum.
Morning, Elizabeth. She says, good morning, lovely peeps. Good morning, Basil. Good morning, Jane. Good morning, Susan. And good morning, Diane. I don't know why I'm singing that. Good morning, Claire. She says, morning, ladies. Did you say new studio? I knew about the new warehouse. Claire, the whole shebang is going because there is absolutely no point. Could you imagine when I'm there going, if I stayed here, going... Oh,
Can you just get me a bit of...
Could you just get me a half metre of...
I've
come
come without the...
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, this is staying for me as my workroom.
Well, yes, because you'll do your prep and stuff
I'll
here,
do my
won't
prep
you?
here, absolutely. I'll do my prep here. Then I'll get in the car and I'll down the road.
Yeah. It's going to be lovely because, I mean, it's all together here, but it's a bit further apart, whereas in our
And
new
we had
place,
to do that for
we're
social
within-
distancing. But now we will all be under one roof, which will be amazing. Sharon says, I will watch you tomorrow as I've just got home from hospital. Oh, I hope you're okay. Valerie says, good morning, everyone. Can't sew at the moment due to having surgery on my elbow. But I'm
Ooh.
really enjoying watching Natasha and Jane. Valerie, you poor thing. But at least you'll have lots of ideas. Morning, all best of luck at the doctor's today, Natasha. Rather go to the dentist. At least you know where they're aiming.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. You
Yeah.
see, Gemma is weird. When she has dental work, she goes, no, I don't want any of that pain relief. Me, I'm a wimp. I'm like, give me everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Everything you've got. I want it all.
Just knock me out.
Well, because otherwise I'm afraid I'm going to like jolt.
Yeah.
Because you know that nerve pain. Yeah, no, not that would not be my idea. Whereas Gemma's just like, yeah, just dig around. Or it makes me go, ooh. Michelle says, good morning. Can watch today as a day off work. Ah, that's perfect. Good morning, Jacqueline. And what else?
Watch out, Gemma's coming.
I've got tennis elbow. And she's like, oh, Myra, and you're left-handed. It's not healing, as it's the arm I use most. Oh, no, tennis elbow's boring.
Painful.
That's no good.
Yeah.
And I bet you don't even play tennis. That's the annoying thing about tennis elbow. I mean, really. Beige neutrals. There's a comedy sketch about Richie Bernard. I don't know if I've said that right. Yeah, that one. If I say it enough different ways, I might hit the jackpot. Getting ready for the day with his wife asking him which jacket she should get out for you. Are you going to wear the cream bone, the off-white, the cream, the ivory or the stone? That's about it. That is about it. Do you remember our old headmaster, Jem? Stanners, yeah. And do you remember that we would always know when he'd dressed himself and his wife had had no input because he'd just wear like all the greens. And we'd be like, you went with a common theme there, didn't you, sir? It was green. And he'd be like, how can you guys tell? We're like, because we have eyes. That would be why.
He was like a badly dressed version of Boise.
He was a badly
But I
dressed
loved
version
him.
of Boise.
We
Did
loved
you
him.
love
I
him?
really loved him.
Did you?
Yeah, there's a story to that, but I won't tell it when I'm not Mike.
Oh, there's a story, but she's not going to tell you yet.
I'll say in a bit.
She's going to be
My
mic'd.
mum's not watching.
Is your mum
I
watching?
hope not.
Oh gosh.
She probably is.
Oh.
I should tell that story.
Do you know what? I realise now that there are lots of stories that I shouldn't tell when my mum's watching. She said to me the other day, she said, I didn't know how much school you missed in the sixth form until I watched your shows. I was like, oh, crikey. Whoopsie daisy. She says, I know now. I'm like, yeah, the grades make more sense now, don't they, Mum? She's like, well, yes.
Didn't do you any harm, love.
Trouble is, it's out there now, isn't it, for all eternity? So if my kids ever decide to watch back my shows, they'll have proper ammunition.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Do as I say, not as I do. Absolutely. Right, do you want to see these half-metre heavens? Before I get myself in any more trouble. Oh, and do we have a picture of what... Oh, there you go. See, Myra's, she's, I'm right. You know, no, never played tennis in my life. I'd keep it that way. I mean, think what trouble you'd get in if you played tennis and you've already got tennis elbow. I know, right? Dangerous. Right, today, I've got a funny one for you today because I know it's half-metre heavens, but it's not quite what I've gone with, if I'm honest. Well, yeah. And I found these, and these were cut into 3/4 metres. Hi, Ems. Do you want to come in? Ems and I are going together today, so come on then. You can sit and show everyone here. There we are. Do you want to say hello? No. Right, okay. So that is 3/4 metre, and that's a half-metre, but I didn't really want to cut that. Do you want to go with Tara? Go on. Go on. I'll be back in a minute, Ems. I've got 2 minutes left to show, and then I'm with you. You just got a flash of her dress. So this is our new one, which is salmon. And isn't it absolutely, it's like we've been waiting for it to go with this one. This is Adina Designs, there. Beautiful. So I wasn't going to cut 25 centimetres of that because I didn't have anything to use it for. So I've just done that as a ½ metre Heaven Plus. Yeah, so you're basically getting an extra ¼ of a metre for £2. That's all right, isn't it? I know, nice. This is William Morris the Brook with Midnight. When I was cutting this yesterday, I did have to go and run and show SJ and Gemma and go, look, 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 it's beautiful, is it not? And they were like, yes, it's really beautiful. I've got some ideas for the William Morris that's left as well. I was telling you that, wasn't I, Jane?
Yes,
Gemma, did you see my sketch on your desk?
yes, I did.
Yes.
I really did.
Yes, yes, you did. I've only got 3 of these. It's Lisa Chandler with some linen, beautiful linen. I'm sorry I'm washing a bit through these, but you know, time. I've got 5 of these and then they're gone. And I've put that with Elephant Grey. Love the piggy tails. This is the last of the piggy tails that we're seeing. Oh, I've got it in pink though as well, so that you could do, you know that thing that we do, where we do here it in 2 different colourways, and if you buy them both, you've got a metre of your feature and enough to make a quilt. Yeah, I've done that. It does make good sense. I've got 4 of the Lisa Chandler butterflies. See what I've done there with the purple? Ooh, yes. I have got only 4 of the Farmhouse with chartreuse, which is basically the tree colour. I don't know why I'm singing and I can't say stuff properly today. I feel like I should apologise. Now, the other thing that I've done... I'm going to see the sea. I'm going to collect my son. I haven't seen my son. He went to bed last night without saying goodnight. I know. I texted my mum and was like, is Freddie there? She's like, oh, he's gone to bed, he's asleep. I'm like, what? What? She's like, well, he was tired. I'm like, what? What is this witchery? How did you get my child to bed that early? She's like, well, he's been by the sea, hasn't he? He's had sea air. I'm like, right, okay. How do we fancy a bit of the small brook with a fat ¼ of copper pleather? PU. Sophie, who's started cutting and doing stuff with us, she's went, what's PU? I went, it's pleather. She looked at me again, sort of squinted, as if to say...
She's young and fabulous.
She is young and fabulous. Yeah, so it's faux leather, pleather, plastic leather, pleather, vegan leather, whatever you want to call it. It has many a name. But anyway, so you've got a fat cord. It's a big chunk.
Yeah.
You'll get a couple of bag bases out of that.
It's a nice piece.
It is a nice piece. Because they're much bigger. Otherwise, it'd be like a massive ½ metre. So there we go. And then, look, the pewter. How cool does the pewter look with the glow in the dark? I've only got 2 of these, but I couldn't resist. The glow in the dark with the pewter.
That's really nice. That's
Yeah.
a lovely bag,
We're
isn't it?
getting to glow in the dark season.
We so are.
We really are.
Happy Halloween.
But then also, look. I did think a lunchbox or a wash bag for little boys or little girls with tractors. With the pleather. So again, your fat ¼ of pleather. I know. And then I found the daffodil meadow and the tangerine spray time. Not going to lie.
Oh, nice.
I mean, yes, right?
Absolutely.
And it's got all the colours in all the trumpets of the daffodils. Are they called trumpets? I'm going to call it a trumpet. Trumpety trump, 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 trump. That was Nelly the Elephant, just for those of you that were wondering what that musical interlude was. And then, yeah, I know, that copper again. Yes, I know. You can thank me later. It's all good. It's a bit gorgeous, isn't it? Yeah, and these are all going out at your £9.99 ½ metre Heaven price. And then I've got 3 of the Farmyard duck egg with duck egg.
Lovely.
And that's it, then that's that gone. There are no more piggy pigs then. So they are your ½ metre Heaven, something a little different for your delection. But I guess we've got all of your planes here. We also have for you back in stock the quilt wall, which is the K Facet quilt wall. That's folded in half, by the way. It's double that width, so it is your 44-inch width. Of all the beautiful fabrics that K Facet has designed and created over the last 20, 30 years, that is his biggest selling fabric. The irony.
Yes.
Great. But there it is. Jane, you will be able to show everyone and tell everybody how that works.
Yeah.
I've got to go. So I'm going to love you and leave you. I'm going to leave you in the very fabulous hands of Gemma. I'm going to mute my mic so I do not rustle too much. I'm going to hand you over to our Stitchy Witch. I'm going to bid you farewell. I will see you on Monday when it's not just me. No, I will be with the very fabulous Mr. John Cole Morgan, I think. Is it that time of the month? Yeah, it is. See you later. I think I might have just muted myself, so I don't know if anybody actually even heard all of that.
I did wonder.
I think going to be with John Cole Morgan on Monday.
There you go.
Maybe. I did wonder. Good morning, everybody. I'm in the... Definitely not muted. Not work. Am I working? I'm working now. Yes. Sorry about that. Don't know what that was all about. Right. We have got 3 bundles for you today. We have a lovely purple business bundle with 3 shades of rose and purples, and then a deep shade that seems to have all of the colours in of that one. I'll take that up there.
Now we're static. Are we normal? See, this
We're
is the
never
problem, SJ.
normal.
We have this amazing delay. The static was probably me switching on my mic. And now there is a delay. Hurrah!
We're
They
okay.
can hear us, Jay.
Poor old SJ. She's like,
They can hear us. I know she's getting her steps up today, isn't she? Up, down, up, down, up, down. Off you go.
Yes,
Bye,
bye.
boss. See you later. Morning, everyone. You can hear me as well now.
We've got Gemma
Lord
with us
help
now.
you. Yeah.
Help us.
Yes,
Do you want to do an overhead to show these kits
Well,
off?
that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
I
we'll
mean,
do that.
actually do the job that I'm in here for.
Let's do that. It's a bit easier to see them when we're overhead.
It really is, yeah. Sorry, mic-related shenanigans.
Just threw me then when the SJ's like, we can't hear you. I was
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I don't know why.
And then
That
we're like,
thing's on.
oh, okay, let's forget all about things, that are important, like camera angles.
Yes, don't worry about that. We've got the blue bundle, and that's the one I've done the sample in that you see hanging on the back of the wall. We've got the purple bundle, and that's got a lovely rich, almost brown, but it's got all the purple tones in it, which
They're
I thought would
beautiful,
look
aren't they?
beautiful in the background. And then we've got the red bundle, which is...
Which I think I
it's
called...
actually called warm.
I think I called it warm, yeah.
Yes, we called it warm because it's only got one red in it. The other is orange and the other is yellow, and they're in a lovely cream. So a lighter background, I felt, with this would show those up properly.
Beautiful.
So those are the 3 bundles today. You've got 1 metre of what I'm considering the background fabric, and then ½ metre of each of the fabrics that I've used in the sample. Now the sample that's behind me, if Gemma goes back to the other angle, I'm going to show you what I had left over, because I took ½ meters of everything to make my sample and thought, oh, I can make 6 blocks. I'll be fine. I can make 6 blocks. That's no problem. And I started to enough for 6 blocks. So you need 4 of the blocks for each of the circles. Started cutting away, carrying on, and then ran out of the background fabric. But I made enough. I was just the one round short on my blocks
Go overhead.
with the ½ meters.
There we go.
So it's just missing that final curve round the 3 layers. That was what I got to with ½ meter. So you can see with having 1 meter, you're going to have plenty to make 6 blocks and do your binding and you might get another block or two out of it. So, but definitely 6. So you get a bigger wall hanging. You could add borders through that and make it bigger for a lap quilt. So there's quite a lot there, really. So,
Or if you did want a big quilt, you could get a couple of
just
kits.
get a couple of kits.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can see I've got all of this turquoise plains batiks left over. So, you know, you've got quite a lot. So you could mix and match it. You could make some with the dark in the middle and some with the paler turquoise, or just keep that for your stash for your next project, whatever you'd like to do with it.
Such a beautiful make. And, you know, those twiddly bits as well. You could make a cushion cover or something like that, couldn't
you've got
you?
plenty
Lovely.
there. So it's quite a generous kit overall. I'm going to make do the demonstration with the red or the warm bundle,
Nice.
just because I thought it would show you what it would look like with a lighter background. I'm going to put those there. They might be in the way. I'm going to stick them on top.
You've got quite a lot of fabric today, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm going to stick them on top of there. You'll be able to see them.
So I'm loving all these piles of fabric.
There's lots of lovely bundles. So, as always with creative grid rulers, they make it pretty much foolproof. Do you want to go overhead,
Yeah.
Jem? They make them pretty much foolproof. You've got everything you need on your ruler. You've got all your markings for making your curved log cabin. You've also got, as always, with creative grids, you've got all your instructions. So it tells you what you need to cut strip-wise, how to place it, how to use your ruler on it, all of that. And then also some other options. So if you didn't want to do like the log cabin, you can still use it for the courthouse step variation, which gives you another pattern. And as always on the creative grids, you've got the QR code, and if you scan that through your phone, you can see demonstrations.
It's
And if
so
you-
clever, isn't it? And it's
Yeah.
so easy to throw this
It
packaging
is,
away.
but you,
You just
really do need to
mustn't.
keep it.
Yeah.
But if you go to the Creative Grids website, there's always demonstrations on there as well.
There are.
So it's-
I've taken now, because initially I'm one of those people who takes the rubbish off, throws it away. You know what I'm like?
Yes.
Super tidy, clear everything
Very
away.
tidy person.
And if you don't open that out and have a look at it, you could very easily just throw it. And Tash said to me very early on, keep these. So I just hold mine on with a little quilting clip now.
Yeah, the quilter's clips are
Yeah.
brilliant. It just holds it all together
So it's the best way to hang on to them for me.
Stack
'Cause
it,
then
you
I
know,
know it's the
storing
right
that.
one.
with that held
Yeah.
on like that. It's perfect. Yeah. So we say, don't throw your packaging away on your creative grids.
No, definitely don't do that.
So for your strips, you're going to need, for your background fabric, which I've chosen the light colour on here, which is the metre piece that you'll get in your kit, you're going to need some 1 1/4 inch strips. And you're also going to need, now with the curvy log cabin, if I get the blue one that I did, that's your centre square there on here. Can we go overhead, Jem?
There we go. I had
That's your
pressed for it to
centre
go overhead.
square there. Now, I recommend to get your proper curve shape that you do that in your background colour. I did my first one and I did it with the same colour as that, and when I looked at it, it came out more square looking. It didn't have the full
right.
curve. So either do it in a different colour, because I mean you don't have to do your background all the same. You could shade your background colours out if you wanted to. That could give you an interesting effect as well. I just chose to do all of mine to give it more of a solid shape to show off the circles of the block when I've put them all together.
And this is the beauty, isn't it, really, is that you go away, you make these samples, you try it out, you see what you
I have a
think
play
works
with
and
it,
what
and
doesn't work.
then I
and-
think, oh no, really, we need to
Yeah.
do this. Now,
Thanks, Jane.
the wider strips in your 3 colours need to be 1 3/4. They're wider than you need. You're going to trim them down, and that's fine. This is the whole point of having the Creative Goods curvy tool. Now we've got these in 3 sizes, haven't we, Jem? Do we have them in 3 sizes?
Yeah, we've got them in several sizes, and we've got, in fact, we've got loads, haven't we? They're tagged
Yeah.
into the collection, all of them, because
I've-
we've got the curvy log cabin and the regular log cabin rulers as
Yeah,
well.
which works on the same principle as the curvy, but I thought the curvy was quite, it's a little bit different from straightforward log cabin.
Yeah.
So the 6-inch curvy log cabin gives you a 6-inch block, which you would need 4 of to make the circular shape, which then makes a 12-inch block. So the hanging behind me, because it's 2 blocks wide, is 24 inches wide, because it's 2 blocks of 12. So that's easy to do. And then for your middle square, it's 1.5-inch strip made into 1.5-inch squares. And that's the one that you just have to read the instructions just to know what's going on with that. So we're going to cut a 1.5-inch square. I thought I got one cut already, but obviously I've floofed that somewhere. Oh, there it is. Here it is, floofed. So,
Technical terms, Jane. Floofed.
floofed it. So the first thing you're going to do, you cut your 1.5-inch square there for your centre block. On your ruler, you turn it upside down so that the title is facing away from you upside down. You've got your seam guide centre square, and it's got holes in it. And you place that against the edge of that 1.5-inch square. Now when you look at this, there's a seam allowance on here, and you put that on and you think, hang on a minute, that's not, my square's too big. But actually it's the seam guide, and it's a little bit wider, just a bit wider than the 1/4 inch.
Okay.
But it's to give you plenty of room to get your seams accurate and to trim. So you line it up with the edge of your cut square, ignoring that seam guide there. And you just mark the 4 holes on your square. And you can see there that actually when you take your ruler away, I don't know if you can see it. Can we go close up onto the...
Yeah, I think we will. Creative Grid is so clever, aren't
They are clever because they've worked all of this out for
They
you.
have.
So when we go close up there, you can see that's pretty much in the middle of the square, those 4 dots.
Now I'm wondering whether that camera's been knocked or whether the machine's in a different position to usual. But it's not.
I
yeah.
have cleaned it and moved it, so I probably have.
You've
put
probably
it,
moved the machine
slightly.
towards you a little bit. Yeah.
There we go. So you can see those 4 dots I've
can.
marked. If I bring the ruler up, you can see the holes.
Yeah,
on
that's
there.
much better. Thank you, Jane.
Yeah. So you've got holes there to mark. So those centre squares, you do that on all of those. Decide on how many blocks you want to make, and then you'll do those squares. So then you decide which colour you want to have as your next round. And I went from pale to dark on mine. So I'm going to go with the yellow. And you want a piece that is more or less the same width as your square. Now, because I'm using the Creative Grids ruler, I don't have to worry too much about how accurate I am with my cutting. So I've just made a square that's pretty much the same, slightly bigger, as you can see. And I'm going to put those right sides together, and I am going to seam down there so I go over the dots I've marked. And you will see, if you've got a 1/4 inch foot on your machine, you will see that it's slightly wider than a 1/4 inch.
And it varies from machine to machine, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it
I've
does.
noticed this.
If you do have a 1/4 inch foot, when you come to do the rest of it, they say in the instructions you're working with a scant 1/4 inch once you've done the middle square. So if you have a seam guide on your foot, you will see that in the instructions. So then you just press that away from there, and then you're going to need a piece that is the same size as that. And again, I'm not going to worry too much about being accurate with my cutting.
Oh, Jane, you know this is rattling my
I
cage,
know,
don't you?
it rattled mine at first. I was
Can't
like,
deal with
I
it.
can't do this, it has to be measured. But
Seriously. I'm always so
This is the-
careful with the cutting.
this is the beauty of this, and when I was using this, I thought this is great, because if you've got a bag of scraps that are strips,
Yeah.
you can just use all of these. You don't have to worry about the measurement of them, as long as they're fairly, wide enough.
Yeah.
And you could really scrap bust with this ruler.
Absolutely.
So once you've got those two sewn on like so, you want to have them on the right hand side of your ruler, and you want to line them up now. It says wide round 1 on your ruler, and you're going to line up, you've got that dashed line there that comes all the way down, you're going to line that up with that seam there, and the dashed line that comes across there, you line that up with the seam as well. So you can see that.
This is such clever witchery, isn't it?
Isn't it? And then you trim across. I'm quite happy trimming across, but do take care with your rotary cutter, you know, take your time. And you've got that, I've just done that upside down. Just ignore everything I've just said. I've gone one step too far. You're lining up your centre square. I do apologise. You're lining up your centre square with that square there. So the seam allowance on this bottom corner. And then you're trimming off. I went one step too far then. So you're just lining that off and you're just trimming it off.
At least you're honest, Jane. At least you're honest.
Line it up. There we go. So you've got that side done. And then you go to your lighter, your narrower strip. And you're always going clockwise round. So again, we want a strip that's going to fit across those two pieces there. And we can just cut that through there. And we line that up. And we go again, lining up the dots. We're working to sew the dots. So again, it's a slightly wider seam than your 1/4 inch. It's only minuscule, and some of your machines that have got the 1/4 inch on, you might find that it's exactly what it says. On mine works with a slightly scant seam allowance, I think, so because it was quite a little bit wider. So we just push that one back. And now, once we've got to this stage, with log cabin, we can always know that we're working across 2 seams. And that way you know you're going round the same way. So once you've got 3 layers on, it's the 2 seam rules. Whichever side you're working on, you're always working on the one with the 2 seams on. So again, we can just line that up there and we can cut the strip. And we line that up along there and we sew that on. And again, you don't have to be too worried about the length of your strip either, if it's a little bit longer, because after you've got this first round on with your seams, and it's probably best to press your seams away from the centre because you can still see the square, the dots marking the centre.
I think Margaret's hit the nail on the head with this one. She says the warm bundle, she would have called it sunset.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it will look like a sunset.
Just
Beautiful.
come and stitched here.
Oh no. The wonder of live broadcasting, it's like the mics earlier, isn't it?
Threaded. There we go. It's just
Absolutely.
put my
Oh, we've had
glasses.
some lovely messages this morning. We've got people loving your T-shirt, incidentally.
Oh, thank you.
Many people loving your T-shirt, and Natasha's comical in and out of shots earlier as well. Oh yeah, Tasha's got an appointment to go off to, so she's left the show in our capable hands, Jane.
Capable hands. That could be interesting.
So those who didn't catch the start of the show, you missed her. Apologies, but you're with us. It's all fine.
There we go. We're all threaded now.
Yeah, we've had a message from Julie as well saying, thank you so much, ladies. You've inspired me to make washing bags for a work colleague who will fill them to donate to a women's refuge.
Oh, how lovely.
Oh, it is lovely. And that pay it forward incentive that we've done, it's been so popular. So popular.
It's a lovely thing. And I think people that do sew tend to do more sewing for charities than they do for anything else, to be honest.
It's a brilliant way to build your confidence and your skills as well, isn't it? If you've got an incentive to make something. I think a lot of people learnt to sew during the lockdown as well because they needed to, make those bags for this, for scrubs
and things like that.
Yeah, and
I know
people
revisiting skills as well that they'd done previously, and then they had, we all know children come along and your time gets less and you put your sewing machine away and then something will happen like the pandemic and you think, oh, I've got a bit of extra time now, I
Yeah.
can start sewing again.
Absolutely, but I do know of loads of people that just they hadn't ever touched a sewing machine before the pandemic, and you know thought, right, okay, let's
Yeah.
give this a go. I've
Start
got to
learning.
stay in, and I'll give it a whirl.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, so we've got those two narrow borders on now, the next round, and this is where we go to narrow round 1, and we're lining up the dashed line with our seam on both sides. And you can sometimes, if it's just not sitting quite right, you can just give it a pull from either side just to make sure that it does. I'm going to pop the iron on because we're going to press as we go once we've got that
Good plan,
first
Jane.
round on. So do that, and then we trim. So once we've got that lined up, we trim across the side and across the top, and then we take it, turn it round, and we turn our ruler round, and we go with wide round 1. And again, we've got a straight line on this one, not a dashed line. We'll just make sure we're in the right place, and we'll just trim that round. Now I cut into mine before, and this is what happened. So I've lost some of my seam allowance, but not enough to worry. I'm still within the quarter, so I'm not going to worry too much about that, but I'll be like making sure when I line it up that I line it up with the cream when I come to do the next round. So remembering the two seam rule, I've got 2 seams here, I've only got one there, so 2 seam rule. I'm going to go with the next colour round, which in this case is going to be the orange on mine. And again, I'm just going to line that up, and I'm just going to cut my strip. And because
No, Jane, as always, it's really, really handy for you to do something like that and take that little extra bit of fabric off, because I'd have panicked and thought I needed to recut and restart.
Yeah.
So
you've got on your ruler, you see, you've got your seam guide. So when you put it on, and if you have made a mistake, you can see whether you've got enough seam to do
Yeah.
it in.
Okay.
So it's, again, that's something else that's a visual guide there that you can see, then you're going to be okay.
That's really helpful as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. So for the next round, we're just going to use our normal 1/4 inch seam that we would use normally and sew that round.
I mean, this is a great technique anyway, but I just think the batik fabrics just add something, don't they?
I think the batiks are lovely because they've got that little bit of, there's a little change of colour each time. So now again with 2 seam rule here, so I'm lining up that, and I'm just going to cut that strip just a little bit wider than I need it to be. And if you remember, I said I've got to line this up with the cream just so that I know that I've got the right seam allowance there. And you can, I don't know if you can see, if I turn that over, I don't know if we can see, it's minuscule, it's not even 1/8 of an inch, I don't think, just where I cut it a little bit too short.
So you'll lose that in your stitching, won't you?
Yeah, it'll go into the seam allowance and you won't have to worry about it.
A girl after our own heart, Claire Angelina. If it's only a smidge out, fudge it together and get it done.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we don't have to worry about trimming at this stage. We're going to just carry on with the round, and we've gone to the narrow strip now, 2 seam rule. And again, we're just going to cut that just a little bit longer.
Oh, this is looking gorgeous already.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it.
I got these done, and I'm going to show you, because I want to make 4 so that we can show what the block looks like and how you can vary it as well. I'm going to show you how I chain pieced as well when I do the next ones, because it's a method that I learnt from ordinary log cabin, but I think it's just makes life so much quicker for chain piecing log cabin. It's lovely.
These top tips are what we need, Jane. They really are. I'm a chain piecing convert since I came here, and it makes such a difference.
We've got the 2 seam rule there, and we just want a strip that's just a little bit longer. And we can line that up with that seam there, because we cut that straight, the middle seam there, so we know where we are.
It's funny, really. I mean, obviously, I sit and tap and do many, many things. But the other week when I said curvy log cabin, I don't think that's anything I've ever seen demoed. And I didn't even get the full sentence out before you were shrieking, I love a curvy log cabin.
do
and
it.
doing your little happy dance and clapping your hands. I love it, I love it. Can I do it, please? I was like, yeah, you can, Jane, yeah. Yeah, you can
So
do that,
sad.
that's fine.
Right, so I'm going to give it a press now. Now I've gone round all 4 layers. Just going to press it flat, so I know I've got it nice and flat, so that when I put it under the ruler I won't have any seams that are not quite pressed enough. And we start with narrow round 2. Got the square there. You're lining that up with your centre square, and then you're lining your seams up with the dashed line.
I think we can just about see it around
Can
your
we
head.
just see it? Move it up a
Yeah,
bit.
your head was
Just
just
need
there,
to
but
make
we
sure
can- we
that
can
we're a
just about
bit
see it still.
further forward.
Yeah.
So narrow round 2, that goes over your centre square, and then you're lining your dash lines up with your seam on there. And it is, on this, you're just going to be trimming off a very minuscule amount, just to make sure that it's nice and straight. Then you turn your block, you turn your ruler, and you're going for wide round 2. And again, that goes over that centre square, and you've got your dash lines to line up with your block, and just trim that off. And it's just giving you that level of accuracy to carry on
amazing.
doing. And again, then we're going to go with the 3rd row on the wide strip, and it's that two seam rule. We've got 2 seams there, so that's the next row round. We've only got 1 seam there and 1 there. We haven't got any on this side, so we know that's where we're going.
Yeah.
Just I would just make it just a fraction, you know, bigger than you're going to have to cut it than you would do.
Yeah.
And then line that up, because you know now that you've got this lovely straight line here that you've seamed, that you've cut, so you know that's your seam line, and you're going to be able to line that up.
So Jane, newbie question, because
Yeah.
that's what I'm for.
Yeah.
This grid, clearly, it's telling you how to do it, isn't it? You
Yeah, it
follow the process and you work round
Yeah.
and you create this block.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming there was a day before these things existed, these special rulers.
Yes.
And this is something that people did just using a normal ruler and...
Yes, you just cut your
much-
strips. Yeah, you cut your strips wider, and you cut it to the size that you wanted, and you worked your way around like a log cabin.
But with a lot of concentrating and
Well,
a lot of...
The thing is, with the best will in the world, when you're doing log cabin, it's very easy to just go a little bit over,
Yeah,
cut a
of
strip a bit
course.
short, and if you're not careful, it can just start to move
Yeah.
slightly, so you don't get the squareness of it. But it's not, I mean, it's, you know, we all know how accurate we are and how well we can work.
But then at the
And
same
there's some
time...
people that would be able to just make it
Yeah, but
without any, you know, worries. And with machines that we have now that have your 1/4 inch seam allowance and all of that,
sure.
you know, we get more and more accurate. But having the quilter's grid ruler just gives you that added level of accuracy.
Of
It
course.
also helps you to remember where you are and what you're doing.
Yeah.
The instruction leaflet has the instructions there, so that's also something else that you can follow. So it really does, it's all contained within the one ruler, which is really helpful.
I mean, my mum, she's the first to admit, she's from Yorkshire, and she's not tight, 100% not tight, but she's frugal, she's sensible. But she'll always say, if there is something like this that you could get that's going to make your life easier and help you
Absolutely.
to get a more accurate finish, especially when it's something like this where her favourite saying, once you've got it, you've got it.
Well, this is it. And the thing is, with this, you've got to make a lot of blocks to get the
Yeah.
effect. This is 1/4 of a block. So if you've got, the more accurate you are at this stage,
Yeah.
the easier your blocks are going to go together, which makes your quilt go together quicker as well and easier and more accurately. So you're not going to, you know, you're not going to have that point where you come to it and you think, oh, this isn't working, this isn't fitting together. And that feeling that you think, oh, I'll just put it in the cupboard and forget about it and leave it for another day. because we've all got kits that we've got, well, I have bags in the cupboard that,
UFOs, Jane.
yeah, that
UFOs.
didn't quite go together the way I wanted them to, so therefore...
I think some days you do need to put them away, don't
yeah,
you? And just say,
you do, yeah, you just need to
we're not friends today.
yeah, just
Another day, I will tackle you, but now is not that time.
take it away and I'll look at you another time when I'm not feeling so fraught.
Yes, fraught is the word.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I mean, this is the 6-inch curvy log cabin that you're using. We've got a 4-inch and an 8-inch. So,
Yeah,
you know,
the
there's-
4-inch would make you a lovely 8-inch block.
Yeah,
And
dinkier blocks.
and what was the other one? An
The 8-inch.
So you'll end up with 16-inch
16-inch,
squares, which
yeah.
would make you a lovely bigger quilt. You know, it will grow quicker.
Yeah, I think I'd be inclined to go with the bigger one, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
for, you know, having a first go at it as well. I should imagine having
Absolutely.
the wider strips and the bigger, it would possibly be easier for me to tackle or less
Yeah,
daunting for me to
absolutely.
tackle.
Absolutely. So we're just going round. We're doing the last round here. We've got the last strip to go through there, and again we're just going to make that just a little bit wider.
Karen Hughes, let's not talk about the pile of UFOs. Yeah. It's
I
when
can't
you
imagine
haven't-
Karen having any UFOs. She's such a whiz that
I know.
she just gets on and does it.
We get that impression, don't we? But yeah, I don't so much have a pile of UFOs so much as a room of UFOs. But I'm getting much better now, much better. I'm tackling things and getting on with them. Did 10 metres of bunting last weekend to go all around the
Gosh.
caravan and the
Oh, how
awning.
lovely.
I know, but you know, it's having a caravan to sew for and a deadline because we're going away in the caravan this weekend just for a little trip. The following weekend is a proper one, a festival, and you know there's a lot of campers and they like to come and have a look at each other's vans and you walk round the campsite and have a look at everyone's setups really.
Yes.
And when people have got solar lights and bunting and things, it's great. And some people will say, yeah, you have a peer through the windows, have a look in, and we're those people, you know, if people want to have a look. Because Errol, our van, is a 1981 model, so it's 40 years old.
Yeah, he's a lovely vintage one, isn't he?
He is, and so people do naturally want to have a look, and it's got all the original brown and orange interior, 40-year-old interior. So yeah, it's good to have something to sew for.
Yeah.
But
Right,
yeah, it does
so
make you not have UFOs.
We're on round 3 now.
Oh,
so
look.
it's the centre square there, which is the white one, and it says round 3.
Yeah.
And we place that on the edge, and again we're lining up the seams with those dashed lines just to make sure that we are square. And I always look, because sometimes your centre square might be coming out smaller, but I always line it up with the right hand corner so that I know that I'm in the right place and my seams are all matched up with that. And then we just trim that off.
Jane, this is looking gorgeous.
It's a lovely colour combination, isn't it?
Really gorgeous.
So then we turn that round, and again we go centre square, but we're upside down now because we're on the wide side, and just making sure that we're lined up. And this, again, as I'm looking at it, it's the right hand corner that I'm lining it up with. And I'm just looking at the seam allowance is there, that they're all lined up. If it's not quite coming straight, I might just give it a little tug underneath. And then you can see there's not very much to trim off this side.
Jane, this is looking gorgeous already. I am going to give this a go, I promise.
Yeah, you'll
Yeah.
love it because it comes together really quickly. So that is your block done.
I mean, if I was to make a 16-inch block, for example, with the 8-inch ruler,
That's a cushion,
sash that
isn't it?
round, and you've got
That's
a
a
nice
cushion.
big cushion, haven't you?
Yeah, that's a
You
lovely
know.
shaped cushion. So that's the block. So I've gone round and I'm going to, because you'll need 4 to make your circle.
Yeah.
I've done the first round, and I'm going to show you now how I chain piece these and how quickly it comes together when you chain piece it.
Oh, we love a time-saving tip, Jane.
So we can get
Really
the
love
3,
it.
we'll get the other 3 made, and then we can have a play and show how they work together. So again, I'm going with the 2 seam rule, so I'm wanting to put them on against this seam here.
Yeah.
I'm going on the wide strip first, so I want my orange. So I place my orange, I want to go close up on this, Gem. I place my orange strip on the machine. I place my square, with the 2 seams on the top against lining it up. And
Can you lift it just for a second?
Can we
before
see?
There we go. Yeah, you can see now. Your hand's out the way. Actually, I don't
Yeah.
think you need to lift it. That's
Okay.
great. Thank
So
you.
I've lined that up there. I'm working on my 1/4 inch seam because I've done all my trimming now, so I don't have to worry about it being wider. I'm using my 1/4 inch. I've got the guide on the plate here because this isn't a 1/4 inch foot. You could use a 1/4 inch foot on this one because the one on this one has the little
the little
plate
lip
at the
there.
side, and you
Brilliant.
can use that on this. I don't often use it because I'm doing half square triangles and stuff, and it doesn't always work. So we're just going to sew down there, and then when we get to the end of that one, I'm going to place the next one on, making sure I've got my 2 seams and just lining it up with the edge of the strip. So I've got a bit of a gap in my strip,
Yeah. Give a bit of trimming room.
but that's the trimming room, as you say. And then I've got my next one, and again just making sure that it's the 2 seams that I'm lining up against the edge of my strip.
And this has the advantage, of course, of not every time you start a new one going, well, hang on a minute, which way round was it? Because you're doing all of them at the same time. You're being consistent, aren't you?
That's right, yeah.
Brilliant.
So you've got something that looks like that.
I've just switched. Sorry.
No,
I
it's
thought
fine.
was
We'll do
going
it. We'll
flat.
carry on. You can
I thought
see.
it was going flat.
You can see that.
You're
You've
such
got
a ninja, Jane. This is
all
the
of
one thing
these.
Tash said to me is you have to predict where Jane's going next and press the button to change the camera angle because she's fast.
So we're just going to now just cut through those. Now you can see I'm using my rotary cutter freehand. Obviously be very careful when you do that, and if you don't feel confident enough to do that, just use the edge of your tool just to cut through that. So when you're cutting through, you can get through there quite easily. So we press that away with our fingers, and then we go we go again with the strip because we want the same 2 seam rule. So we've got the strip on the machine. We're going to line that up. We've got this side here we know is trimmed, so we're okay.
Sorry, I switched because you've got the machine.
Sorry.
Ah.
So I know that I can line that up with that edge there, even if this one goes over. I've got at least two edges that will keep me straight and lined up.
Margaret says she remembers seeing a presenter make a curvy log cabin block that was so skew whiff when it came to the trim at the end that it was almost one whole side that came off.
Oh dear.
I don't think they were using a creative grid. Crikey.
So yeah, just pop that next one on. You've got a little gap in between your fabrics, but that's fine because you know that with the ruler that you're using, you're going to trim it off anyway. And that's what makes this such a lovely way of doing it, so much quicker.
It's a great
Excuse me.
plan. Oh, we've got lots of lovely people popping on and saying good morning. Julia's busy with her puppies.
Ooh.
She's been watching on TV today. The puppies are keeping her busy.
Oh, bless.
Julia, I would love to cuddle your puppies.
They're getting bigger, aren't they, by the day?
I know. Oh, gorgeous. Karen says her UFOs would keep her busy for the next 150 years. Not many then.
No, not
And
much.
Tina says, I've got one quilt sandwich but keep putting it down as I don't know how to quilt it. Jane will chuckle at this point because she knows that I blasted through and made a whole quilt top that was actually something she wouldn't have anticipated I'd have done in a day because it was quite a bit of quilting.
Yeah.
Quite a bit of piecing, sorry. And I sent loads of photos and was like, look what I did, look. And it's still 2 months later, folded up next to my sewing machine because I'm just keep not quite being sure how I want to quilt it.
I think this is the thing, and I think sometimes the quilting side of it is so much harder.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
Particularly if you're not that confident, if you're still quite a beginner, and I still struggle sometimes with my quilting. I still think, I don't know if I want to do that with it. So I'm going to take now the cream strip, the thin strip, and again I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to go round that.
And I'm not going to change the camera angle until you tell me to. Do you want to show everyone how you're placing them together?
Just lining, because I know that this edge here is lined up.
Sorry, you just need to go left ever so slightly. There we go.
There we go.
Left versus right.
I'm
There
just
we are.
lining it up. Now you can see that that bit there is over the edge, but as long as I keep that consistent and keep my strip straight against the line that I know is straight, because that was trimmed, we'll be okay. And I'm just going to do exactly the same as I did before.
Oh, this would whip through these blocks really quickly if you're working on them all at the same
you'll
time.
get this method just makes it so much quicker. I would say do what I did and do your first round individually like I did when I was
Yeah.
just showing you the singular one. But then once you've got that round done and you've got it trimmed, you'll whiz through it if you use this method of just lining it up on your strip.
Love it, Jane. Brilliant. Margaret Smith says her first in-laws were caravanners. It's called Caravan Envy. She's got a new awning. No, you do. So we're on a group for Iriba owners because we have an Iriba, which is a teeny tiny caravan, vintage caravan. And we were on this group, and the other day this chap had got his picture of his caravan up, but with, and it's same little Iriba, the biggest awning we've ever seen in our lives.
Yes.
And Guy was like, oh, because ours is huge. Like it's kind of sacrilege. You've got this beautiful little vintage caravan and then this massive modern awning. But we have two teenagers, and they come with us, and we need that space for them. You cannot fit four of us in that tiny caravan.
No.
And so we saw this image on Iriba Folk, and we're like, what on earth? And then I twigged and I looked and I said, that is two awnings together. And the chap, Steve, I said, Steve, is that two awnings? He was like, yeah, it is. Yeah, I put one up and then I attached a second one to it. I said, oh no, that's cheating, because here was me, you know, my poor husband was bereft because he thought
I want an awning that big.
I know. Yeah. Guy's there thinking, well, I thought I'd got a big one. And Steve replied and said, yes, you can reassure your husband, he does have a big one. I was cheating with a second. But oh dear. Yeah, Karen's saying when she was at the VW rally, she thinks that more people were drawn to her camper van before noticing her stall. Karen,
Yes,
we would be those people.
She's got a split screen one.
She has.
We have a bay. We've got a 1976 bay.
Yeah.
And
yours is so cute as well.
She's lovely. She's away at the moment having her interior redone.
Nice.
All the roof lining and everything else.
Oh, wow.
So we won't
Proper
get to
job.
go away in her at all this summer, but we're looking forward to having her back for next
Every now and
summer.
again, we all need a bit of maintenance, Jane. And,
yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
it's her time.
Well, she wasn't in the best state of repair inside when we had her. Her bodywork and her engine and everything were brilliant, but the interior did need work.
Yeah.
And we've had some of the outstanding bodywork done, and then she's gone away now to have her interior sorted out. So that's going to be lovely when we get her back.
Look at this.
So, you know, you can really whiz along by doing this method. And again, because of the trim tool, you don't have to worry too much about the accuracy of it, as long as you're, you know, making sure that your strip does fit what you've sewn. So we can press that back now, and then we can use the tool as we did before, just to line it up and trim it away before we put the next row on. And we can do the rows like that. So you can imagine, you know, if you were going to do, like I said, you can get at least 6 blocks, I would think, from the
kit.
From the kit. So
Amazing.
you know, you're going to. So we're going with narrow, and we're on round 2. So we're lining up the narrow. Move those bits out of the way. We're now lining up the narrow round 2 square with the centre square, lining up the seam allowance lines there, and we're just trimming off.
I love a system, you know I do.
It really does make life so much easier for you. And as I said, I can imagine if you've got scraps, so we're now round 2 wide. Flip the ruler round.
Yeah.
And just again lining up the seam allowances there.
Oh, this is fab. And I mean, the finished result just looks so clever as well. Yeah. It looks beautiful.
It gives you a lovely effect.
Well, we have caravanners and campers, Jane. We have comments. So Linda says that she has a seasonal pitch for the caravan and she does her sewing in the awning.
Yes.
Gets a lot of interest from passers-by. Do you know, my husband actually suggested this for me. He said when the kids have decided they no longer want to come with us, that will be the point when we haven't got to carry all of their stuff,
Yeah.
bags and the, oh
You
gosh.
take your sewing with you.
Well, this is the thing, because, you know, we currently bring huge air beds and all sorts of stuff, blow-up
Yeah.
sofas, things that we won't need. So we'll have some weight room. And, yeah, the sewing machine was the first thing he thought of, bless him, for me to bring, which is lovely.
I was following a lady last summer, an American lady. I think it was on Instagram. I probably still follow her now, and I can't think of her name. But she'd got a American motorhome.
Oh, they're massive,
and she
aren't
was
they?
taking her machine with her, and she was posting about what she'd been doing. But the scenery around where she was sewing was just, you know, she'd be on the edge of a lake somewhere.
Oh,
you know,
gorgeous.
and it was just beautiful. And I was just like, oh, I want to do that.
That really is living the
Do
dream,
that.
isn't it?
You get the best of both worlds, don't you? Then? You do
Absolutely.
a lovely holiday and doing your hobby that you love.
For sure. I think the living the dream for Guy would be if we could get a VW camper van. He had a bay, like yours, before he had his daughter, and then had to sell it, which I think broke his heart a little bit.
Yes.
Not quite so much as the fact that years later we spotted it in a seaside town and were looking at it, and it was his van. And this chap walked up and said, oh, yeah, I'll sell it back to you if you like. I've just bought it. To sell, I'm a dealer. And the price had trebled
Yeah.
since Guy, bless
Breaks
him.
your heart then, doesn't it?
I know, it really did. But yeah, his ideal now, because Errol is a 1981 model and that has a split screen on it.
Yeah.
A lot of people tow them with a split screen camper
Yes.
and paint them to match. So yeah, that would be, I think, the dream for him. I think it's a long, long, long way off while we've got a mortgage and teenagers that need to go through uni yet. But
Mandy Shaw
Yeah.
goes to festivals and she does classes, and she's got hand sewing machines, and people can do classes with her with a hand machine, you know, making bunting or
Wow.
cushions and stuff like that. And I always think
Awesome.
that looks really good fun as well.
I mean, we keep talking about a retreat and what have you, don't we? I just think a camping version would be phenomenal,
Yeah.
judging by how many people have got caravans and campers and things. I think that would be ace as well. Bridget Young Jane is saying, could we have a lesson in quilting sometime, please? I'm not good at free machine embroidery, and often finishing a quilt is the hardest part.
Yeah,
Be
I'm
something we'd
sure
love
we
to
could do. We could do, when we come to do the finish the block of the month. We'll do a bit more about quilting there.
And that's our first Wednesday of each month, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, when we get to the end of that, which I think is going to be...
I think it'll be January, will it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
There are, I mean, we had Angie, didn't we, with her rulers. She did a bit of work with the rulers,
That was a
showing
while
doing
ago
a
now, wasn't
demonstration,
it?
didn't she, a while ago?
But I
So I'm
think
just doing the wide red now, the final third
Gorgeous.
row on this one. And again, you know, I've done exactly the same thing. I've just lined up the strip with the edge because I cut it straight. You know, I've used the trim tool, so I've got that straight edge to follow, and making sure I did it on the two seams. I knew I was in the right place, and I'm going to do now the second row of the red
Yeah.
in exactly the same way. And it really does make it so much easier doing it this way, and it's a little bit less labour intensive.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot less labour intensive, I think. I think with the quilting, going back to that, the issue for me is that there's no actual definite, this is exactly how you should quilt your quilt.
No,
You know, there
It
are
is
so
very
many
personal,
options. Yeah.
and you know, quilting it just through the blocks sometimes is enough. You know, just to straight with your walking foot, just doing straight through the blocks, because you know there is the saying, a finished quilt is better than no quilt.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
so
we've
true.
all got them. We've all got those part makes. Now that strip is not going to be quite wide enough, so I'm going to cut another strip for this one just to finish that off. That piece that's left over on there will be fine for me to use for, you know, the next when I do, if I did more,
Yeah.
doing the first round. So you know,
Or keep all your strips.
keep
don't
all your
you?
little
Yeah,
bits
for
that you've
sure.
got left over, because you can definitely use them.
I think, as you know, when it's our own project, you look at it and you criticise it to such a level that no one else ever would they? Especially if you're making a quilt as a gift.
Yeah.
I've given people things that are really basic from when I first started quilting. They're like, gosh, aren't you so clever? How have you done this? And because we know how it was constructed, we see flaws, whereas all they see is, oh my gosh, wow. And they don't know how it was put together, much less that you've quilted it this way and you could have quilted it that way, or, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was funny
better
because
ourselves, but still.
I'd made the Lisa Chandler origami table runner, hadn't I? And then Natasha said, "Oh, I really love to have the black and gold for the sideboard in the studio."
Oh, yeah.
And we decided we would make her one for her
Sneakily.
birthday. And
Sneakily.
I had such angst over making that one,
Really?
because it was for a gift for somebody, that I unpicked the quilting twice because it hadn't
What
gone
do
the way
you
I wanted it to go.
like? Oh, well, it's nice to know it's not just the rest of us that are having a fit over these things.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. And yet I guarantee you that she'd have loved every version
Yeah, she
that you
wouldn't have cared
unpicked.
really, but
No.
for me, and I was just like, oh gosh, it's like, because it's a gift for somebody, I think is what it was. I mean, it wouldn't have.
Well, it's like I've suggested before, haven't I, that if we get to a stage where we've got lots and lots of samples and we're running out of space, that, you know, it might be that we could do something with some of the samples and offer them out there as prizes or something. And you had a small fit.
It made me sound terrible.
No,
I was
not
just
at
like,
all. You just said,
just remember
they're
that they are
samples.
samples and they're not
They were-
exactly.
they were put together quickly for a show. I said, Jane, they're beautiful. Like, I see them up close and would love them in my home. But you, honestly, you daft sausage, are like, oh, no, I'm not sure.
They're only samples.
They're
really
samples,
put together
Gemma, they're
quickly.
samples. I didn't agonise over them for months and stitch and unpick and stitch and unpick.
They are terrible, aren't we? Really.
But we're our own worst enemies, aren't we? And this is where I find, you know, going to a class and what have you, it's really helpful, actually. It'd be great for us to be able to get together and do something at some point. It'd be lovely. And then we can
I'm
all
just
hear
going
how
to use-
ridiculous each and every one of us are.
Yeah, we've all got it. We're all the same. I'm pretty sure that everybody that's listening is going, yeah, I do that.
Can relate, can relate. So we have here. Oh, Margaret's saying trim. Have you not trimmed, Jane?
I trimmed on the first round,
Yeah.
and I trimmed when I did, because when you do it, you do your first one and you trim the wide and then you trim the narrow, and then you do the whole round on the second round, which I've done, and then you do the whole round on the third one before you then trim.
Okay. All right.
So it's only the first one where you do the narrow and the wide,
Got
and
you.
then once you've got that done,
Okie dokie.
you then do the next
Thanks
ones.
anyway, Margaret. Because,
Yeah, but
you know,
thank you for
It has been known,
yes,
hasn't it,
absolutely.
that they're all shouting at the screen.
Going,
and
you've got
your
that the
Tash
wrong
is
way
just
round.
merrily sewing and
Yeah,
not
let's
really
get on with it.
realising. There's a very big difference, isn't there, between sewing when it's just you and sewing and talking.
Yes.
Claire's got a question. She says, my machine shreds the thread with free motion quilting. Even the good thread breaks. Do you know why?
It could be a tension thing.
Mm-hmm.
It could be the needle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say if it really is, try sewing with a metallic needle. They've got a bigger eye on them.
Okay.
And because metallic thread is renowned for shredding, and so the eye on a metallic needle is bigger. And so if your machine is having that problem, and as daft as it sounds, maybe try go a little bit slower. I know when we're doing free motion, we think we have to go quite quickly, but if you can go a little bit slower.
Actually, yeah, I've watched you, and it was a slower movement than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I mean, I think I do my free motion slower than other people. I think I do, because I've watched other people and they go really fast.
Yeah,
and
I've seen
I've
people
tried
that
to do it
shows.
really fast, and I'm like, I can't control it. But you find, I think every machine is slightly different, and you find your speed, your momentum that works for you.
Yeah. I mean, some of us do go at everything like a bull at a gate.
Well, and I
She's
think
not here, so I can say it, but yeah, Tash goes at everything like a bull at a gate, and we have to say, Tash, sometimes slow and steady wins the race. But yeah, no, top tips there. We've got Karen saying something similar, actually, about what size of needles being used.
Yeah.
She used to have the same problem. She uses a 90 and she doesn't have any problems. But like you say, if that doesn't work,
just
bigger eye
metallic
needle.
The metallic needles are, the eye is bigger because metallic thread is, it's got the core of it is the polyester or the cotton, and then the metallic is woven around it. So it's notorious as it goes up and down that it shreds. So they make the eye for metallic needle bigger, and that might help. Yeah, I was using a thread the other day that wasn't, because I'm a big fan of Metler threads. It wasn't a Metler thread, and I had to rethread my needle twice while I was using it because it shredded and broke. And it's such a frustration because you've usually gone about a foot and you're sewing before you realise your thread's broken.
So annoying.
So this is the last round on these. So I'll get these pressed and we'll trim them round, and then I'll show you the different effects that you can get with your when you put them together.
That colourway is stunning.
Isn't
I'm
it?
glad you demoed with this. I think the purple's easy to imagine that it would give a similar effect to the one that you've done your sample in.
The backing of that is so rich. The one I chose for backing, and you wouldn't have to. You could do it the other way round. You could do your wider strips in the one colour and your narrow ones in the ombre, and that would give you a lovely effect as well. So again, just keeping the narrow strips on the right hand side there, and we're on round 3 now, so we're lining it up with the corner of that. It's the white square on here, and just making sure that those seam allowances are lined up. I'm just going to pull that bottom bit in slightly because it's just flicked out. That might have been me ironing it, just pushing it. There we go, that's that iron. And then turn that around, turn the ruler around, and again it's still the white square in the middle, and lining that up with the seam allowances. It's only a very minuscule amount that you're trimming off, and I mean you've got all these bits, you could use those for stuffing a pin cushion or a toy, or or just throw them away. But we know what we're like. Some of us don't like to throw anything away.
Waste not, want not.
Exactly.
I've got a friend who's taken up, what do they call it? Rag rugging.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Some of those would be perfect for that.
So yeah, my sort of wider strips, that little tiddly bits.
Yeah.
Offcuts off a strip. She just loves them. So I've got this little bag. The other day even, I'd thrown away sort of the dust. Those fibres that are so thin. It's like, no, they're not going to do anything. I'd thrown those away, but there was this little pile still left on the side, and Guy said, "Oh, do you want me to chuck these away?" I said, "No, no, no." They've got a home. They will be rag-rugged into.
They're going to be used.
Because she's made cushion covers and all sorts, and she's loving it.
Yeah.
She's a hardcore crocheter, you see.
Yes.
So suddenly now she's discovered the world of rag rugging. But it did make me laugh. Her husband booked this class for her birthday as a surprise, she might like to try a new craft.
Yeah.
Thinking, oh, that's a great present. And, it wasn't the cheapest class in the world, but it was a nice thing for him to do for her.
Yeah.
And he'd been reassured that, this won't result in, because she has an impressive wool stash. Oh, this won't result in the purchasing of things, because that's the whole point. It's to use up rags and, old clothing cut into strips, old bits of fabric from crafty friends. No, you can buy... you can buy stuff to rag with, and it's all beautiful ombre colours and bundles, and oh yeah, she spent a fortune. But she loves it, and you can't put a price on that, can you?
No.
That's my gosh, look at this.
So if you wanted to make it with the circle on the inside,
oh wow,
isn't that lovely? You
Absolutely
would join those
amazing.
2 squares together, and 2 squares, join those together and then join them together into the row, and that's your block, that's your 12-inch block, which you can then make lots of. You can also turn it around.
Oh
and
yeah,
have
that
it
looks
that way.
fabulous as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Gosh, that'd make a stunning cushion.
You can do this with it.
Oh yeah, this looks nice too.
You see, they're half square triangles at the end of the day.
Right.
So whatever you do with your half square triangle, you can do with
this.
these.
Yeah. Oh, well, this is all rather lovely.
You could do,
They look a bit like flowers actually, each quarter,
yeah,
like a little flower bud.
you can do that with it.
Oh, well, don't set everyone off, because they're already having this situation of, I don't know how to quilt my quilt once it's pieced.
Yeah.
Give them
So,
all the options of how to turn things
there's
around.
There's lots of options to give you beautiful effects. So maybe, just make lots of blocks, make lots of these, and then lay them out on your bed or your design wall.
Mm-hmm. Yes, now we need to see this, so let me bring the camera around so everyone can see.
You've got your design wall. You can use that. A metre piece of this
Ace.
attached to your wall will give you, hours of fun.
Definitely. And we sell it by the half metre because we wanted everyone to be able to choose rather than,
Yeah.
if you wanted to have a massive, massive wall of it, you could get something under half metres depending on,
Yeah.
the
You
space
could
you've got
have this,
available.
look, you could do this and you could make it like a step. I can just replicate that. You can get stripes in it then, couldn't you?
Oh, well, that's cool as well.
So you've got all sorts of options there that you can do with this that's going to give you hours of fun.
Hours and hours,
Hours
of fun.
Look
Look at that.
It's just, And talking of quilting, I just, when I came to quilt it, I quilted through the blocks. So I've quilted through there in the ditch. I've quilted through these strips here, just to like an L shape there. So I went through the middle of those and then quilted either side there and then around the edge, just to give it.
I'm going to wager if we went close up, but you wouldn't be able to see that any clearer, would you? 'Cause
Not really.
It's subtle.
It's in the ditch, but it's enough to hold it together and just, I didn't want, because I mean I could have done like a petal shape through there,
Yeah,
which would give a lovely effect on it as well.
it would.
I could have just gone, wiggly squiggly, meander all through it.
You could.
There's so many things that you can do, but that's just with the walking foot, and that's quilted enough to hold it together and give you a nice finished effect.
Absolutely. I think with some projects though, it's about the quilting, isn't it? The actual
Yes,
piecing's quite
sometimes.
simple, but
Yeah.
with this, the piecing's just so impactful.
And I think because we've sort of ombrayed it as well, it
Yeah.
gives it a really lovely effect. I think there's something sort of oriental in
There
a way
really
about
is.
that pattern.
Yeah, it fits in with our
Really
little
lovely.
origami theme that you seem to be
does,
going
yeah,
down
we're
of
going
late.
through
It
that
looks a
route
bit
at the
along those
moment,
lines.
yeah.
Jane, that's beautiful.
So it's a lovely,
Clever
it's a
bean.
lovely tool that gives you that level of accuracy when you don't have to be too accurate to start with.
Yeah.
So
Well,
each time you trim it round, you've got that.
we're getting a lot of love
consistency.
here for this. A lot of love.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really, really beautiful.
Yeah, I think this this red colourway is just gorgeous.
You're going to
I'm
be
not
playing
a-
with this
I'm
now,
not a
aren't you,
particularly-
for a while.
I'm not a
Look at you.
particularly red-orange person, but actually I'm loving that. That's a
It's
real sunburst, isn't
Gorgeous.
it?
No,
Very
it is.
summery.
It is. Margaret was
Yeah.
right. Sunset.
Yeah.
Really beautiful. Really beautiful. Jane, what are you doing next week for us, Jane?
We're doing a Lisa Chandler. We've got a lovely Lisa Chandler quilt next
We
week.
love
It's
Lisa
a
Chandler.
It's a big one.
It's a big un.
one, but it's not a complicated one.
No.
So it's a nice. It goes together really quickly,
Oh, well, that's good.
but it gives you a lovely big quilt. So that's a really nice one
Fabulous.
to
And
do.
it features some of Lisa's stunning fabrics as well.
Absolutely big pieces of Lisa's lovely fabric. Yeah.
Oh, can't wait to see that one then. And on Monday coming, we
We've got
have
the lovely John Cole Morgan, haven't we? John is in the house.
Yeah, and John, I mean, I can't believe it. It's the last session for his Flying Dales on Monday.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Gosh, where's that gone?
So I can't wait to see all that come together.
Yeah, that'll be lovely.
Which is brilliant. But he's bringing us something a little bit spooky as well.
Ooh,
I'm
is
not
he?
going to go into more detail, but yes. So he will have
Nice.
quilty wondrousness, and then there'll be some spooky elements as well.
Super.
We love a spooky element.
Yes.
I like a bit of Halloween. We
Halloween.
do. I think we're all done, Jane. We didn't ruin everything. Nothing
No, we
exploded. We
managed,
didn't break anything, and you've made
It'll all be all right
a
for
finished
Natasha
block.
on Monday. It'll be fine.
We can be trusted.
We
can
didn't
be
break
trusted.
anything.
No, we didn't. And thanks everyone for joining us. That was very lovely of you. Yeah. So Margaret says, I love the sunset, especially as drunkard's path.
Yes.
So yeah,
we
yeah,
should definitely do it
yeah.
as a drunkard's
Oh, and
path.
Elizabeth Krangle says, on point, and they are kisses.
Oh, yeah.
We like the idea of this being the kisses quilt.
Yeah.
So yeah, curvy log cabin, all the kisses, either way.
Like
we
that.
hope you enjoy it. Please make the most of these ombre colour bundles as well, because those are on a discount only for the first 10, and then
Yes.
they'll be available just as a
I mean,
ongoing
even as
thing.
an ordinary ombre with the usual price
Yeah.
is still a good price.
To be fair, yeah, the usual price is fabulous. But
Yeah.
just for the first 10, because it's birthday week.
Yeah.
She's having birthday week because she can.
Oh, when we get
Um,
if we spend more than, what is it, more than 40?
More than 40.
We get
Don't
the
forget to use
celebration
that really
platter.
natty code. The SJ's so famous for her natty codes.
Yeah, we want to be flat free. Definitely need to be flat
I know.
free.
Get flat free.
Definitely.
It is in the red banner across the top of the website, so don't worry about trying to remember get flat free, because as usual SJ's chosen something perhaps needs a bit of memorising, and unfortunately not flat stomach for free,
No,
which I would have liked very
we'd
much,
we'd all love that.
especially after the cake we've had
Yes.
this week. But
that
yeah,
cake was
thank you for
lovely.
joining us, everybody.
Right.
And
We'll see you next week.
we will. Natasha will be back on Monday with John Cole Morgan.
Oh, don't forget to look at your newsletter on Friday as
Yes, definitely, because we all love a Friday deal.
well. Definitely.
Give everyone a wave, Jane.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.